Today on ChannelEye. On this program, we talk about business and entrepreneurship in Sri Lanka, amongst many other topics. Keep tuning into today's episode as well whilst we discuss business today. Now, today we are joined with a trainer, compeer and entrepreneur all in one. And we're going to talk a lot in detail with regards to that industry. And we've got a lot planned on today's show. And to know more about who today's individual is, let's have a look at today's business personality.
Udayanga Weerarathne is a versatile professional who combines expertise in corporate training, entrepreneurship and comparing. He's a graduate from the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura's Applied Science faculty and has a wealth of experience conducting training programs and consulting projects for a range of organizations in Sri Lanka, Egypt, Taiwan and Dubai. He has reached and impacted over 10,000 individuals through his diverse range of development and motivational programs, which cover areas such as individual development, team development, adventure-based learning, leadership, creativity and more. He obtained his primary education from St. Joseph's College and went on to complete a bachelor's degree in applied sciences at the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. He began his journey as the Vice President Global Community Development Program at ISAC in the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura and went on to being the President at ISAC Jayawardhanapura Local Committee and finally the Director Vice President Global Community Development Program. He works as a proprietor at Sunhara Service Station and has co-founded Kanoyaya Plantation, which grows and supplies a variety of agricultural items. He is also a co-founder and lead trainer of Popcorn Teams, which designs and delivers customized training programs. He is currently a self-employed corporate trainer at Udayanga Weerarathne Training and Consultancy, where he provides his services for individuals and organizations for talent development. He believes his passion for entrepreneurship and commitment to excellence in all he does has allowed him to succeed in both the corporate and business worlds.
Mr. Udayanga Weerarathne, good evening and welcome to the program.
A very good evening and thank you so much for inviting.
A pleasure. All right, so let's start off with how you began your career at the very start.
Okay, starting is actually, you can't say where exactly it is because being a child and things are going like, but this arena where you say all in one, compeer, trainer and entrepreneur. Before coming to the trainer and the compeer part, I'll mainly tell that I was actually looking forward for those people who came in front of me and like talking like entrepreneurs in the forums and all. I was like I had that things embedded there where when I see someone comes in front of people and say, okay, I have done this and all. So that's the inside that where I wanted good people, dressed nice, talking about innovative things and all. So there I wanted. So if I put myself as an entrepreneur, the main decision was like when I was in my university, Jayawardhanapura University, I was involved with a lot of things, and one key thing was I was part of this organization called ISAC, where there were a set of students getting together, doing greater things in the world, and there you get a lot of experiences to do things that's as you like. So there are the place where I saw a lot of people coming in and talking about the entrepreneurship, and I was curious. The word entrepreneurship has been a newest in like kind of invention back then. Like not many people knew, like it was there, but it was very new word. Yeah. I even like the word entrepreneurship, entrepreneurs. Like it has some sort of a like kind of a insight to it. Then I was so keen about how to do things and all, like, you know, when you're in a state university, you think of, okay, having a job and do things in the way that you wanted to do as the society says. But still, this new people coming up with new ideas, like hustlers doing new, greater things. So I want to get into that. So there I was experiencing a lot of people, and that's the insight. So the entrepreneurship has been a thing back then. So what I wanted, like, not to finish the studies, just to start my business as soon as I finish things. If I can do like 1 year earlier finishing of my studies, if I can go, then I would have done that. Right. So with that thought, went and started a few things which currently I'm so happy about it. Okay. So that has been the insights that I got, and that's been the main background of how to be an entrepreneur. The trainer part is a different path.
Right.
Where, like, because I thought being entrepreneur, like knowing that word entrepreneurship and everything has been, wow, it's a nice glamorous thing that you can do it. There are no hustle people who come and they are like doing well and all.
Yeah.
But when you get into the business, you understand, okay, Sri Lanka is a country that you just can't have that luxury as you want. There are a lot of things that needs to be in process and all. So in the path, like going through those experiences, that's the main pillar pushed me, okay, there are a lot more things that can be done. So that's why trainer, compere and the entrepreneur, all the three things got together.
Okay. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, how important is entrepreneurship exactly?
We'll go to the entrepreneurship as it's, people think it's an easy thing. People see the glamour side of it. If you talk with anyone, you can remember Elon Musk, likewise, the bigger people in the world that you see like recognized as entrepreneurs. But still, there are a lot of hardships that people don't see. It's like the dark side of the ownership of being an entrepreneur. And it's one of the key things for any country to develop. People might say you need this and that, but this mindset of being an entrepreneurial approach for whatever the thing that you do, even the established business, even for the newer businesses, even businesses that you don't know. So mainly it's kind of a lifestyle, if not the person who's owning the business, but even the people who are working towards that goal should process. Like imagine you are the leader of the company or you are leader of one particular organization, but if you don't have set of people who are supporting your entrepreneurial guidance or on like whatever the atmosphere that you're creating, then it's no point of being an entrepreneur. So the entrepreneurship is the key driver. It requires so many other things to be in place, and like we can come up with a definition, but still it varies from time to time. If you take Sri Lanka last year and now, things have changed. So likewise, the adaptability for the changes and being resilient for whatever the problem that you have, it's what you need. And when talking about entrepreneurship, it's about solving the issues that people have and making some bit of money or whatever you can make in whatever. So imagine if coming up with a better solution, it's an entrepreneurial way that you can come up with. So it can solve a lot of things, maybe with some sort of money to your hand, maybe with not. But still, if you can enjoy that path, and that is a way of you can enjoy, that's a way of you can help other people, that's a way you can help the country, maybe to the like global arena. Some of the small ideas that entrepreneurs came up back then are like having all the luxuries for us. Thomas Alva Edison, we have all the rights and everything, but still there's an argument where he's the main person to invent it, but still he's the entrepreneur who like got that concept to a tangible thing, and we are using it.
Either way, someone came up with it, and we can enjoy it because of that.
Yes, and for that, the hustle that person have gone through, like in famous arena, we know like 9,999 times. Who kept counting? But still, somehow the product is there, and if there's anyone who does something like that, so it's sort of a behavior that people can come up with, where it can help many ways. You can't like frame this is the benefit that you can, because you never know what the benefit is.
So I would guess a country needs its fair share of entrepreneurs as well in order to move forward and come up with new innovations.
Definitely. Like, when we have a normal conversation with people, we talk about a lot of issues. We don't have that. We need that. It could have been better in this way. What if that you are the change maker, being an entrepreneur, or giving that insight for someone to be better, think better, make more systems in processes? So like we can't say like, can you ever think of the perfect entrepreneur? We might come up with things, but still we don't know. Maybe the person who are watching this program, you could be the best entrepreneur in the world. Still, it's how whether like you're willing to take that risk, whether you're willing to put your step in and get in there and get things done. It's a decision. If someone says, no, I'm not a good entrepreneur, yes, you are right. If someone says, yes, I'm a good entrepreneur, yes, you can be right. So it's on how you perceive things, how your perspective on looking into things. Even a like small kid can be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
We have so many like innovations and all, and yeah, it's really important that the mindset of approaching things.
That's true. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, like you correctly mentioned as well, first it's important to identify a problem, and basically when it comes to entrepreneurship, one of the definitions is having a problem and coming up with a solution for that. And I feel like especially we have a culture and a mindset where we identify problems a lot, but it's finding a solution for the problem and going through the hard work and hustling to find a solution is where we are lacking. So if we can connect those two dots, I believe we can have a lot of entrepreneurs here in Sri Lanka as well.
Yes, like sometimes we are trying to portray this nice path. We have been listening to nice stories, and we try to, okay, if I can be like that. So sometimes you can't connect the dots to future. It's always about you go to somewhere and there's a lot of hardships, you need to have the resilience to face all the like demotivative things that people say and all. So when you go there, you can connect the dots. This is my path. So people will start believing. You need to have the credibility by showcasing, okay, you're there. So there's a like debate is about tips to be successful. Can I have tips to be successful? I don't think that anyone can give tips for anyone's life, because your life is a different way. But we can say, if you have these sort of personal traits, then it will help you to move in a better way. So there are no such things like, if you do these things, you will be like this. People might say, but I personally believe, in my view, that is not the way you should approach. You should be having those competencies where move you forward to feel it, get it, and do things. So,
right. Well, previously you mentioned that entrepreneurship is not just about the glamour side, and that's something we see a lot in this world, because a very few amount of people actually showcase the hardships they went through. There are some people who do that, but it's very rare. Mostly what we see is after they've succeeded, and we see the reward. When it comes to challenges faced by entrepreneurships, what are some of the main challenges you would think in general, being an entrepreneur in any field, some of the challenges they would face? And we can talk about that a bit.
Challenges. If you don't have the challenge, then you're not living well. I don't think if anyone asks from yourself, do I have challenges? That's the answer that anyone can come up with. They have their own challenges. Despite of, like, normally we say, being in Sri Lanka, the norm that we have is underprivileged country, but still, if you are an entrepreneurial thinker, the challenges are the things that help you to groom. I have a huge respect for each and every entrepreneur in Sri Lanka, because being there in that arena, trying to get things done, when implement things going in the wrong way, I see everyone is putting their extra effort. Because being an entrepreneur, you never know. At the end of this month, you can predict, but you don't know this is amount of money that you're going to get.
Yeah.
Maybe you can have partnerships and in a bigger scale, but we'll talk about smaller scale people, like people who are on their own, and like 2-3 people, like 5 to say, that hustle is there. You never know what will happen. The future cannot be predicted. That is the biggest challenge, and that's nice. Imagine that you know everything that happens is going to be pretty boring.
Yeah.
So the challenge is if you can convert that unpredictability like a fun thing for you, and it's going to be, I know it's not easy, as I say.
Yeah.
There are a lot of hardships, like you have kids, your family and your household and everything. I know everything is there. But if you can enjoy that challenge is a pretty great thing. And I'll come back to challenges,
Yeah.
like being in Sri Lanka. You can't predict what happens next. Maybe because of your decisions, maybe because of someone else's decisions, maybe because of what happens around the world. Like if someone wants to get a passport, our passport like accepted in some other country, right now we are not in a good place.
Right.
We are not accepted around the people. Like the credibility is not there. The people are not giving financial credits and all. Most of the things for businesses to grow, we don't get much loans these days. The rates are really high, and still we can't like stay back and wait. Okay, things will go right. The people are waiting for ideal conditions. There are no ideal conditions in the world. Even if it's the setup in a way, triggered in a way with, I don't know, supernatural powers or whatever it is, still something to go wrong is really high. Because that's the beauty of being there. That's the beauty of life. And if you're an entrepreneur, if you love to enjoy that challenge, then I think that would be. So more than talking about the challenges, because we can't list down. There's a set of challenges that, because we never knew what happened last year.
Yeah.
And we never predicted that dollar would be like at this moment. It used to be like nearly 400, but now coming 300 at this moment. We never know what will happen in future. It might go to 500. I don't know, because we can't predict. Maybe there are some things that you can come to a probability, but still you never know, and that's the beauty of it.
Right. So one of the biggest challenges is the spontaneity and not knowing what's going to happen.
And being in Sri Lanka, it's in a 10 times plus.
That's true. But I feel like even when it comes to life and your journey in life, if you know the day which you're going to die, it really cuts off everything, and the whole beauty of it is not knowing when it's going to happen. So you enjoy the moment. And you shared something with me before, which I would like to bring in now. We have a segment where we give some advice as well, but before that, I feel like it's related to the conversation now.
So with my father, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So I see my father as one of the key pillars, a person whom I looked into, who I wanted to be. Then I found out, okay, I don't want to be him, I want to be myself, but still, I don't get to talk with him that much because meeting him is because he's truly a farmer.
Okay.
Like after his retirement, he's truly dedicated himself to be a farmer, and he's doing I think he's a content person. The conversation, he asked me, what is the most important thing in this world? What is the most valuable thing for you in this world? So I was driving and I was thinking, okay, my father is asking this question. Should it be my father, mother? What would be? Then I was silent for a moment, and then he came up with this thing. Okay, I know that you will not be able to give an answer, but he said, as per my view, I think this moment is the most precious, valuable thing for me in the world. I asked why, because I couldn't come with a proper way of how to define it in that way. He said, yes, in this life, that is the only thing that you have the control of. You can't have any control of your future. Maybe you can do things in accordingly, but the probability is, you can only control the probability.
Right.
You can't control what happened in the past. You can't change. So whatever you do at this moment, then that's the only thing that is controllable, and this is the most precious thing. And with that control, why don't we make it happy? Why don't we enjoy that moment?
That's true. Words to live by, rather. And before we move on to the process of training and your career in comparing, I'd like to touch on a bit about that as well. But before that, when it comes to entrepreneurship again, how does Sri Lanka compare to some of the foreign countries? How does it compare exactly?
This is mainly, I have not been a person who lived in another country and experienced that. These all the things by the discussion that I had, like the clients that I work with foreign. And one of the key things that people say is it's really easy to, because they have the processes in other countries, not all the countries, but majority of those well-developed countries. They are there simply because of the processes are there. And Sri Lanka, the process-wise, it's not that easy.
Okay.
Sometimes people think in that particular part and might try to move out and start something on their own. But I would, in my view, I say the troubles, challenges, things that you have to face is going to be same. What you need to do is not look for the like ultimate comfortable situations, but create those skill set, like develop your competencies, like train yourself to be resilient for those challenges. Whatever the challenges comes, you can go and do whatever the way, because we can't control, as I said. So there could be better ways. Like imagine, like if you take the time taken to register a business, I've heard in Canada it takes like 5 to 10 minutes, if I'm correct. And to open up a bank account, it's less than a minute if you have all the documentation in process. But what about getting those documentation in process? That's a hustle. So part and like the part of that is embedded. And Sri Lanka, yes, you have a lot of things and all, like systems are not in process, but still you can't find the issues that we have in Sri Lanka in other countries. That means opportunities for you to think in that way, it's really great. And if we say, like now we are like we have been talking about being a global global village and all. Now everything is there. So back then people thinking, okay, I don't know how to think. Thinking new innovative ways are not easy, but now we have all the AI models come in process. It's a matter of typing the correct way. If you just ask, okay, what are the like businesses that I can start? YouTube, whatever the social media, it helps you to generate ideas and all. Sometimes you're getting this, you are using ChatGPT, Google Bart, and like all the AI innovations since last November. It's like one of the biggest things. It helps you. If someone says, I can't do anything, yes, you can't. Because simply because you don't think in that way. If anyone wants to, the tools are there. So another, like in a foreign country of Sri Lanka, it doesn't matter for me. Like maybe you can perform better with the systems and all, but still there's more space in Sri Lanka for anyone if you want to hustle in Sri Lanka in a nicer way.
Right. Now, when it comes to the corporate world, you obviously have experience training and speaking to a lot of clients there. How important of a role does higher education play when it comes to going up the corporate ladder?
If you say, like, I'll drag myself way back to the time where I was a university student in Jawaharlal University. I was having conversation with Vice Chancellor. I think if the name is correct, Weerarathne back then. We were talking about, because I was enrolled with, back then I was doing some trainings and all, as I mentioned in the ISAC, that student organization. He was asking, what are you doing here and all? So he was asking me, what is that competency that anyone would should possess in order to be successful? He said, we were having the discussion and he was like quoting this. If anyone wants and to do something, if that person can go learn by himself and doing things as he wants, that is the core competency he wants to possess in anyone. So willingness to learn, and if we have great personalities, great individuals and systems for the education, we have like one of the best intelligent people in the world, and are we utilizing them in a proper way? That's the thing. When it comes to higher education, I've been working with a lot of people and all, like the undergraduates and graduates, recent past graduates and all. There's a skill gap. There is that skill gap, and we have the issue of a lot of people have migrated, more than millions, and we have that skill gap as well. Trained people is lacking, and we need to work really hard. I think there are many sectors working towards that. Still, we are not there. We have to work really hard. Simply not to like make set of people who are like qualified, because we are in a race. We are way back compared to the other countries. We need to pass that baton for those people where themselves work hard, learn by themselves, looking for the opportunities, find the opportunities that they can come up with. If you talk about the social media influencers and YouTubers, we didn't have an industry like that 5 to 10, like 6 years back. Now all the people have come in and they've created this thing, and more than the normal like generic media like TV, like all those things, the companies tend to select them. So like, have we had any degree for anyone to be a YouTuber, to be people who are working in online, like the scenarios there where people learn tactics by themselves. We don't teach anything that in school, but still they learned. For that, what they had, like the willingness to learn the new things. We have super cool, talented people. What we need to is like enable that environment for them to go learn. Like maybe some tools that we can help them, maybe how to use I don't know whether we can embed those things to the school, but AI has been a miracle since last November. We didn't know that it could be done. We were thinking, okay, in conceptual level, people have been talking, okay, if you enter something, this gives everything. But now, the matter of some sort of words, it creates ideas, it gives, if you want to do all those, whatever the whatnot. So if you can train set of people to be all those things, that's another thing. And talking about the skill set that we need, some people are very talented, but it's about whether they know how to promote themselves in the proper arena. Do we have that extra mile that people recognize this talent? Systems are there, but still we need to run in that faster gaps. Maybe like we might have to go through that space quickly.
Right.
Because we can't, as we told, like few moments to live, few times to go. We can't wait for a long time. If we want to go to there, if you want to go faster, then better we hurry.
Okay. Now, when it comes to being a trainer and training these corporates, how exactly, now previously we spoke about how you wanted to become an entrepreneur. I'd like to know what made you think, okay, I want to be a trainer and go into this industry.
Yeah, as I told, I just after university I wanted to start my own thing and like get into. I was doing my business, which is automobile service sector, but still I felt like, okay, yes, I had all the glamour and everything. I was expecting it to be like, yes, it's going well. It was going well, but then I thought, okay, as a person, what do I actually want? Like, because I'm a person who like to interact with people, I would love to meet new people, but being in that arena of my business, it didn't help me. Then I was searching for new things, and still then the organization called ISEC, they had this sort of introduction of sort of a conference. Inside this wonderful personality came and did this training, then I felt in love with. I would like to know, like Fahad Farooq, my colleague, brother and everything. So he, like, in that way of delivering, it made me think, can people be good trainers like that? Because we have seen, I have seen the personalities back then, but that has been the key pillar. So that's also insight which kept me going on. I was thinking, okay, can I be like that person, or is there anything that I can get involved with? So it helped me to discover myself. Then got him as a mentor and like get involved with a few trainings and all. Then understood, okay, training is not like boring things that most of the people have experienced. It can be very interesting. It can be very impactful. The impact is really valuable. So going through that, understood the concepts and all, like being in the industry, getting the experiences, working with different people. I've lost the count of how many people I have trained, but should be above 15,000. Each and different individual brings new learnings.
Okay.
Sri Lanka, abroad, whatever the country that you meet, the impact that people brings, the color that they brings might be vary, but still anyone can give like nice things to you. So that kept me going and like doing experiments on things and all, and it has helped that it's being a trainer in Sri Lanka is kind of an entrepreneurial thing, because you need to come up with new things, because you can't stick to one particular thing for a long time.
Yeah.
Things change, and it's been a key factor where to identify new markets, identify new methods, and it's been a pretty great journey.
Okay. And when it comes to training corporates, do you do it individually or do you do it to a group of individuals?
Normally when say the client comes up with the requirement, they
Right.
say, okay, we have this sort of a requirement, can you help us doing this? First, sometimes some clients come up with the proper understanding and the analyzing of this is the requirement. Sometimes we have to dig in deep and understand what the exact requirement is. So it can be catered according to what they can afford and according to what they require now. The main thing is to understand the objective of the training. So depending on that, we can come up with designs. This will help and all, because we have understanding on the normal behaviors, because what we help is to uplift their behaviors in order to achieve like whatever the goals that they want. Sometimes it can be individual, so that is not like part of coaching.
Right.
So it's about helping that person to discover that person in a different ways. But if you take a bunch of people, that's going to be training. So more than the training, I would like to say it's a facilitation. Facilitation for them to understand and enable them to think in a better way, to put those things in action. Sometimes, most of the times, people think, okay, the corporate trainers are people who come and help you to do your job in a better way, but that doesn't mean we are going to train them things that they do actually.
Okay.
We are trying to help them to maneuver their mindset, like the decision making part, and what can be done in a better way in a different perspectives, helping people to understand what could have been done better, or like are there different avenues and all. Sometimes what they need is they have like as I told, like Sri Lanka has like super like intelligent set of people. What you need is some sort of guidance, some sort of insights for them to think in a better way. So if you can create that enabling environment, then performance is always there, because the talent is there. It's like maybe you're covered with a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not seeing beyond what you should see. So yeah.
Okay. So
like to sum it up, so it's like enabling people to think and feel in a greater way would be like, you can't cater a trainer would be like this, because it plays a bigger role.
Right. So an example of that would be, if you're training someone who does script writing, you don't necessarily go and teach them how to write the script, but rather the other elements which might contribute to them writing the script better is what you do.
Yes.
Okay.
My talent is not helping that person do that person's job.
Right.
It's about helping that person to think in a way how that person's mind can be used, how this person's talent can be used, what are the like competencies that person can go through, and helping them to create that path for that person to go through that set of activities and all. So it's about helping that decision making part of the mind to get involved in a better way.
Okay, right. And usually that happens depending on each and every customer's or client's requirement.
Yes.
Okay.
Like because the levels of people are different, because their domain of working is differ from person to person, and the decision making level of managerial level and groundwork, still it requires different ways of expertise.
And the backgrounds they come from as well. Okay. And you cater to almost all of them.
Kind of.
Okay. Now, when it comes to comparing, because when we introduced you previously, those were the three elements. So when it comes to comparing, how did you transition into that field? Did the training kind of help you go there? What was it?
It's the whole caliber.
Okay.
Being a compere, most of the people say, okay, that person should be really good in that language. And everything. Frankly saying, my language is not the best competency, linguistic wise, but the field that I can bring into the table the feel that I can bring into those people, the energy, that is the core competency that I have. Making people feel that they are in a place where they can be free, where they can be feeling that energy, because I'm portraying energy, and what they perceive is immersive kind of experience by what I do. So that's been the thing, and like giving that confidence of being in a very comfortable area.
Right. Well, I mean, I feel like being human is mainly that element, because with AI coming up right now, who knows if we'll have just AI to go and do these trainings for people, or even comparing as well. You can just simply play a video, but the human element is that feeling that you just mentioned, and bringing in that emotion and making them feel comfortable. Now, I'd like to ask you something without sharing much of your secrets. Would you like to just share if there are any aspiring compeers out there? How do you bring out that feeling? How do you make people feel comfortable?
First, you need to understand what are the colors that you can bring into the table.
Okay.
Maybe your language would be the best. Maybe you can create that connection with that people. Maybe you're bringing in this vibe, like whole how you wear, how you like. Maybe you're like good looking people like you, like how can, like, what is your element that you can bring in. So when you have things that are in control, give your best.
Right.
Give your best what you're good at. Then other things will come, and always keep seeking for new things, keep seeking for new talents, keep seeking what's happening in the arena, because we always have access to a lot of things. We have access to like things that have never been in the history. So we can keep understanding, learning, talk to people, talk to those because in the industry, what I felt like, you can reach out to people. If you reach out only, you will get help. You need to go there, you need to talk to people. The insights that they might give, you will not realize at that particular moment. It might take some time, year, two. Some things that I like had the discussion, like the discussion that I had with my father about the insight of the moment. You realize it later, but you should be working really, like whatever the way that you can. Maybe it could be a smart way that you can achieve things easier. Maybe it's a hard way. Like you can't define whatever it is, because it's a part and parcel of the package. Like you're like working towards what you want, and as I always say, you can't connect dots for the future, but you can connect the dots which was in the past.
Right. Well, from what you just said, I have a question, but before that, I'd like to ask you a question to see where you stand. Would you say you're an introverted person or an extroverted person in general?
It depends on the arena and where I am. Imagine that when I'm eating in a restaurant, I don't be like the person who goes and talk and like. But if I'm in the trainer personality, I'll be the loudest in the room. I'll be the person who I think, and I try my best to be the most interesting person in the room, because that's the connection that I want to create. But if it depends on the situation, and you can, but no matter what happens, you have to be authentic for who you are. Maybe you would like to have different sorts of aspects. Maybe you want to be an extrovert. Maybe you want maybe you want to be a very intelligent person among people. Like if you're not there, still, I'm not saying you can't change it. You can change it, but you need to do some background work. That as we say, like we see the glamour and everything of it, but the ownership of getting that level with all the hard work is a must. Maybe it's not hard work, maybe it's smart work. You need to work really hard for it. And when you're coming to that, I would like to draw back one of the conversation that I heard via internet video by Sadhguru. Someone was asking, do you want, like, what you want to do, like what should I do? Should I do what I love, or should I love what I do? So it's okay, it's fine. Great people, they love what they do. or you can be doing what you love. But genius, they do what's just needed. Sometimes identifying what's just needed is required. So maybe you can be introvert, maybe you can be extrovert, but depending on the situation, if you want to portray, it's up to you. But be authentic. That's the key.
So the reason I asked you that question was because, I mean, you had the answer to my next question within that, because I wanted to ask you, as an introverted person who's watching this program, they might have a bit of an issue going up and talking to people like you mentioned previously. But you kind of gave the answer where you said sometimes you have to do what is needed. So that was actually great advice, and I've heard some conversations and some advice related to what you just mentioned before as well. So you kind of gave in the answer to that. Now, coming back to entrepreneurship, what would you say is the future of entrepreneurship in Sri Lanka and globally as well?
That's going to be the key. Whether we like it or not, the tech, it is a must. It is going to be embedded even though you don't like it. Now if you say at the moment Sri Lanka doesn't, Sri Lanka have payment gateway QR codes and all. We are used to it with the fuel system and all. Now the payments going to be there, the cash involvement going to be very less. Even there would be a situation where you go to a Game Kade and you will have to pay with the QR code. So it's in this race, but we can't step back from it, and things going to be there, and the market is going to be fluctuating than ever before, because opportunities are there and the competition going to be high. Back then you had only one shop for whole village, but now like you have the choices. The competition is going to be high because if you have a product, same sort of a product would be like available around, and that's good for the consumer because you have the choice. And but for the entrepreneurial view, the competition going to be tough, so you have to buckle up with all the competencies that you can gain. The like using of AI, how to use it. Even for a small kid, you need to do that. Even imagine back then, when you're a university student, you can just have to write things, and this is like, I'm not saying it's ethical, but there are people who are writing your thesis by someone else, and you submit it. That's been a thing. But now imagine like with the ChatGPT and all those things, you can generate things and you can find all the Quillbot. I'm not saying the bad ways to do it, but still
that is
it's
the
there.
reality.
Being a university lecturer, you need to be like, you need to be thinking in a different way how to tackle this. So the challenges are there, and that's the beauty of it. Just as I say, like, enjoy the ride.
All right. Well, this has been an insightful conversation, and you shared a lot of advice with us as well. So thank you so much. That was Udayanga Weerarathne, trainer, compere and entrepreneur. Thank you again for being with us this evening.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
A pleasure. And that winds up today's episode of Business Today. Do join us next week as well. Till then, have a good night.